Why do gamers say cheese? That could be fun.
To cheese something in video games means to overcome a challenge or defeat an opponent using cheap, unfair, or unintended tactics requiring minimal effort or skill.
Yes, yes.
If you're standing somewhere a boss can't hit you, you're cheesing the fight. If you're trying an all-or-nothing rush strategy, you may be using a cheese tactic. And if you're only using one annoying move in a fighting game, you're probably cheesing it. But why cheese?
Is it the Capra Demon? Capra Demon. Which one is it? Yeah, Capra Demon in Dark Souls 1. You can throw fire bombs over the wall if you just don't want to fight it.
How did this specific food come to represent low-effort, cowardly tactics? The answer may actually have nothing to do with video games at all. Some think it's because we say cheese when getting a picture taken. That you're doing a big fake grin, and this spread to other examples of being fake.
Like a cheesy grin.
But cheese has an interesting history of slang long before people were smiling for photos.
Okay.
You know what they call cheese in Paris?
What they call it?
Le fromage.
Le fromage. Man, it's like those French guys have a whole other language.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
In the 1850s, cheese was a positive term.
Okay.
It was slang for something showy or fine. Then in the 1890s, the meaning flipped to mean cheap or inferior.
Okay.
It seems like people began using it sarcastically so often that it became an insult.
Okay,
Over time, the meaning shifted more to mean something tacky, inauthentic, or low effort. Like a cheesy movie or a cheesy joke. Things that are fake and kind of lame.
They're eating her! And then they're going to eat me! Oh my god!
We don't get movies like this anymore with acting this terrible. Well, we do get acting this terrible, but it's usually in like a high budget, like fucking Marvel movie.
So when did gamers start saying this? One explanation is that it came from StarCraft. Among StarCraft players, a cheese strategy is usually an all-or-nothing attack. Rushing to get a specific advantage or attacking immediately with your starting units. The sort of thing that can get you an easy win if it works, but almost certainly guarantees defeat if it doesn't.
Kind of miss regularly released bad movies, I do as well.
2009, OGN commentator Jae Young mentioned the term and explained its origins. The story goes that Korean-speaking players would use the English word cheater, saying it more like chi-tazu. And the middle syllable would sometimes get shortened until eventually it sounded more like chizu, and eventually people just started saying cheese. In 1998, StarCraft was one of the first online games that really had a large organized community, and it's one of the first real esports games. I can see how this would lead to a more nuanced discussion about strategy.
See, the early esports days are weird because Quake was also a foundational game in that space as well, but I don't actually know which first had a community and like actual like tournament start building up with. I don't know.
And how a term coined here could spread easily to the rest of the gaming community.
So like the origin of laughing with Kek. Yeah, if I recall correctly, isn't Kek when somebody on the Horde side said LOL, it would like show up as Kek if you're on the Alliance side? I think that's what it is. I'm not a WoW player, but I think that's what it was.
This theory, and it comes from a pretty unlikely place.
Yeah, Kek is low
4
in
years
Orcish.
earlier,
Yeah.
there was an arcade fighting game called Primal Rage.
Oh, that's a game.
Honestly, I don't think there's a ton of love for this game. It's part of that big wave of fighting games that came out after the success of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, but ones that never really quite escaped their shadow. It's mostly remembered as just the dinosaur fighting game, or maybe just that one where you could pee on your opponents after you beat them. But it also had a feature that's very important to us right now. One that proves cheese couldn't have started with StarCraft.
Okay.
In Primal Rage, when the game judged that a player was getting too cheesy by overusing a single move or locking their opponent in an infinite combo, the game would flash a "no cheese" logo and stop the attack.
Wait, what? Wait, it had an anti-infinite loop system?
The victim of the cheese a chance to recover and fight back. So not only did cheese exist before StarCraft, but the makers of this game...
Like, imagine if, I don't know, like Street Fighter had something like this. That's so, like, it gives you a way to recover, but like, I think players would fucking hate it.
Apparently thought players would be familiar enough with the term to understand the meaning from a little picture of some Swiss cheese. If we look through old Usenet posts for arcade games, we can track the spread of cheese. It pops up in posts about pretty much every fighting game that you can name. Samurai Showdown, Virtua Fighter, Killer Instinct, Tekken, Darkstalkers, X-Men, Children of the Atom. Players of Mortal Kombat had lots of complaints about cheese, especially Sub-Zero's ground freezing move. Fans of Street Fighter 2 had a problem with M. Bison and his Psycho Crusher technique. It moves fast, has a long range, and can be used repeatedly in a manner that's difficult to escape. I found quite a few posts referring to it as the Cheese Pedo, and then other posts asking,
This is 1992.
It was called a Cheese Pedo. Cheese also shows up in early game guides and walkthroughs from the same period.
What?
And this is where the trail starts to grow cold.
The
earliest examples I could find were in communities discussing Street Fighter 2. This game was released in 1990.
So this is probably stuff that is not even archived then. It might have been something that sort of evolved naturally out of like local arcades. Like this might be something that stems even like pre-internet days. You know, it's kind of like the it's kind of like the S, right? Where even though you were never taught it, somehow everybody kind of knows it. It very well might just be one of those things that like maybe it appeared in a magazine somewhere. And like it's something that like naturally evolved in arcades and it just was in a magazine and then it spread from there. Chun-Li is hot. Yeah, that's about right.
And there's quite a few posts using cheese from around 1992 onward. I tried looking around earlier games that had competitive multiplayer gameplay, searching communities for either competitive online games or similar arcade games, but I just couldn't find any earlier uses. So it looks like Street Fighter 2 is first, or at least the earliest I could find.
Earliest on the internet at the very
Most articles I found on this topic also agree that this is where the term started. It's definitely the sort of game that would inspire a lot of insults and complaining about exactly how someone just won a match. So it makes a lot of sense to me that if the Street Fighter community didn't coin the term, they definitely helped put it into regular use. One interesting detail is that since these weren't online games and were instead being played in arcades, a lot of these posts complain about a specific real-life person that the poster finds particularly annoying. In a 1993 post titled Death of a Cheeser, one user tells the story of how he warned a high school kid to stop using what he judged to be cheesy tactics. When the player continued, the poster cut the power to the arcade machine mid-match. This led to him getting kicked out of the arcade and getting banned by mall security, something he seemed to consider to be a moral victory. So some people were taking cheese pretty seriously even back then. Looking back, there's various posts debating what exactly counts as cheese and how much of it is acceptable. In a post from 1994, to cheese or not to cheese? Some users say there's no such thing and basically give the 90s version
Akira,
of get
the
good.
Overlord.
Others decry cheese, claiming it makes the game repetitive and that dominant, overpowered tactics are a sign of a poorly balanced game. Also interesting is, even at this time, some users ask about where this word comes from.
Okay, it actually is kind of like the S then. It's like people were just saying it and just they naturally learned it. I just use cheese because this guy in my arcade used it a lot and I saw it on the board.
Many of other words that are more popular with their local players, such as using cheap or scam instead of cheese. Much like the earlier StarCraft example, another user claims that cheese comes from someone mishearing a player calling a move cheap. Personally, I still think it comes from the word cheesy, meaning inauthentic or low effort, but I did want to check a few other theories to cover my bases. I had thought that maybe this would be like a sports term, something a football announcer might say after an especially tricky play, but it doesn't look like it is. The only cheesy sports reference I could find was in baseball. A pitcher can be said to be throwing cheese or throwing cheddar, but in this case, it's a positive thing. It's used to describe an especially quick fastball.
Yeah, cheddar
Board
is
game and
money.
tabletop players sometimes talk about cheese strategies today, but the earliest complaints of cheese tactics I could find came well after our Street Fighter examples. It looks like cheese may also be a somewhat obscure poker term. Most lists of poker lingo don't mention it, and the few that do give conflicting definitions, none of which really line up with its gaming use. So, for whatever reason, it does look like Street Fighter 2 was the first game that really used the word that way. It then quickly spread through communities for Mortal Kombat and other fighting games. We already know that cheese was often used in StarCraft, which had an online community much larger and more organized than most multiplayer games at the time, so it's easy to see how it may have spread from there. More than 30 years later, players still argue about what counts as cheese. Is it exploiting a bug,
Cheese is anything that they personally get annoyed by.
using an overpowered character, repeating the same move over and over again, eating a boss from somewhere that it can't reach you? The answer depends on who you ask, which is probably why the term has survived for so long. Because if there's anything more important to a gamer than winning, it's explaining why they didn't actually lose. And for more than 30 years, we've had a word for that. Cheese.
Well, you know what I'm going to do after this? I am going to go watch the new episode of Thai Adi. I didn't watch it yesterday, so... Can we call it Laughing Cheese? We could. I don't know if it would make sense, but we could call it that. The literal anti-cheese function was eye-opening. I've never heard of that game. I've heard of the game. I didn't know about the cheese thing. I'm going to go grab a cheese. Good plan, good plan.